Welcome or welcome back to my channel. Today I am back with a book tag. This tag I saw on Nthabiandherbook's Evolution of a Reader. Basically just 4 simple questions just to see how much your reading has changed throughout the years. Yeah guys, without further ado, let's get right into this video. First question is what you read. So how has the books you read changed over the years? I will say they have changed pretty drastically. I used to read light fantasy as a kid, Twilight, and I like to think that's like light fantasy. Is that even fantasy? I'm not sure. Those are the type of books that I read. And then when I was in high school, obviously we were prescribed books to read for English, and those were mainly the books that I read. I never read for fun. The first book that I quite enjoyed that I read in high school was Nervous Conditions. After that, like, African literature became my main focus. And then I went through a phase of like liking romance, and romance that is like kinky romance. Like, I was reading 50 Shades of Grey, the Crossfire series by Sylvia Day. I was reading those type of books and I was obsessed with them. And then I went back into African literature where I was reading Americana, I was reading Homegoing, I was reading books by African authors. But this year, guys, I've been reading a lot of romance, and but romance that is just really the fluffy romance that they call it. I've been gravitating towards that type of romance and I've been enjoying it so much. That's how I have evolved, you know, kind of like going from liking fantasy. Like, you will not catch me reading fantasy now. Not a chance. Yeah, that's how I think my reading has evolved. Second question is how you read. How has the format of physical books, audiobooks, ebooks, like reading on your phone or on your Kindle? I will tell you, this has been the most drastic change in my reading life. I used to be that person, guys, and I used to be that person that never really believed that listening to audiobooks is reading. Like, stop lying, that's not reading. When I tell you that now I love audiobooks, I love just the easy access of listening to a story whilst like doing my chores. You know, I feel like I'm getting a lot done at the same time, and physical books used to be my go-to. I never even knew that there were such things as audiobooks, but as I was growing up, people were talking about, oh yeah, I read this audiobook. I was like, that's not reading. I was judging. And then the first time that I read it, my life changed. And also I'm gravitating reading on my phone a lot as of lately. This has been the most evolutionary in my reading experience, just like my thinking of how books should be consumed and how I consume books now has just been very different from how I started. Question number 3 is actually a 3-part question, is how much I read. So, do I read more or less now? And I want to say that throughout the years, especially this year, I've read less than I have ever read. It's very discouraging to me because obviously I had set a certain type of goal, but it's quite discouraging to me because I used to read quite a lot, but because things in life, you have to pause your reading, like focus on other things, and that hasn't been bringing me a lot of joy, even just saying it. Like, I've been reading much less than I used to. Being also on booktube and bookstagram, I haven't been reading as much as I used to because I just had this notion to always read what's new. Like, as soon as the book comes out, I must read it. Whereas at the beginning of that, I never used to have that kind of pressure. As a content creator for books, I feel like you must always be up to date, just like as a content creator of everything, like always be up to date. And I feel like with reading, such a cute, wholesome, you know, hobby, certain books never go out of style, guys. There isn't really a timeline, but it's just like my own thinking of that, is that now I feel like I've been reading less because I've just had that sort of pressure of reading what's new, what's just out, or what's popular, and trying to create content around sad books. I'm slowly moving away from that. I'm slowly doing it, guys. I'm not saying that I'm out of there. I'm slowly doing it because sometimes you see a beautiful cover and everybody's talking about it on Book Talk, on Instagram, and just like, I should get it and talk about it too. Yeah, I definitely been reading less now. When do I read? I used to read anytime. I used to read on the bus, like in the morning going to school, after school I was reading. I never had a specific time, hey, like, to be honest with you guys, I never had a specific time when I read. But right now, as of lately, I'm reading a lot at night. And also just reading on your phone, you know, it's just easy access of just like whipping up my phone and like being cuddled up in my bed and just like reading. And I've been enjoying that. I've been liking that a lot. On the weekends though, whenever I'm not doing anything, I will read as soon as I'm done with like maybe cleaning the house or maybe sorting up any type of chores that I have. I'll get up my book and read. Or maybe I have books on my nightstand. So sometimes I just wake up in the morning, brush my teeth, come back to bed and start reading. Like sometimes it really be like that, but most of the time I read at night. So I think that's how my reading has changed from any time, any place, anywhere, to just being very focused on reading at night. How often has it changed? I don't want to lie, this year I've been so bad at reading that I don't read as often as I would like. I'm so grateful if I read even like 4 times in the week. That's how like often it has changed. Like I don't read as much now, and that's a cause for concern. Hopefully it will change to better. It will change for the better. Last and fourth question is, how has booktube changed me as a reader? As I've said, that it has kind of had its positive impacts, but it also has its negative. I'll start with the negative. It has really given me some sort of pressure, just like always have the newest book, the freshest, what everybody's talking about. I just generally want to move away from that because I don't have that kind of money. Okay, and books are expensive, especially when books just come out, like they're quite expensive. Reading like 20 books in a month, or like having the newest, what everybody's talking about type of book. And honestly, I realized I do not have that kind of tax bracket or even time, and that's okay. That's how it has had its negative impacts. But the positive impacts, that I'm grateful that now I have access to a lot of books, which can be overwhelming. There are a lot of books in the world, guys. Like there are a lot of books. Even discovering like a new author, and they have a backlist, and it's just like, damn. Also, I feel like I'm so comfortable in talking about the books that I want to talk about, or talk about like this hobby. I never had anyone to talk to books about. I remember having this one friend, and the only reason we were friends is because I saw she was carrying the Bed to You book by Sylvia Day, and we started speaking about it, and she was like, oh, this is like my 4th read of this book. I was like, that's my girl. I'm so grateful that I have like a bunch of people like online that we basically just communicate about books, and they also like to hear me talk about books, and I also like to hear their opinions in it and their thoughts on it. So it kind of feels like a huge big book club. Definitely love booktube and bookstagram for that reason, that it has given me a community to share this love of reading for, and also just to talk about the books that I truly enjoy or don't enjoy that much. It has given me so much access to a lot of books. Like it has introduced me to a lot of authors. I have auto-buy authors. Like I have authors, like I don't care what they put out, I'm gonna buy it type of thing. And I never thought I would reach that point ever in my reading life. So I'm so grateful that booktube has changed my life in that sense. So thank you so much for joining me in this book tag, and I hope to see you guys in the next video. Until next time, bye.